I never told anyone this, but my marriage was built on a secret so dangerous. If it ever came out, it would destroy everything. The sun rose over Lagos, spilling golden light into the glass-walled mansion in Lekki Phase 1. Adago sat at the glass dining table, her braided hair neatly falling over her shoulders, her wine-colored gown flowing gracefully. She smiled at her husband, Ibuka, who stood tall in his crisp white shirt and navy trousers, ready for work. Ibuka leaned down, kissing her forehead, whispering, "I'll see you tonight, my love." Their 8-year-old daughter, Chi-Chi, giggled at the table, spooning cereal into her mouth, her cornrows tied neatly with a pink ribbon. It was the picture of a perfect family, but Adago's smile was hiding a storm that none of them could see. The moment Ibuka's car pulled out of the driveway, Adago's phone buzzed sharply against the glass table. Her heart skipped when she saw the name flashing on the screen, Tund. She froze, her hand trembling, her eyes darting toward Chi-Chi, who was too busy humming to notice. Memories she had buried deep came crashing back like a flood. She pressed decline, but her chest felt heavy, like the walls were closing in. Adago's mind dragged her back 12 years, to a sunlit university campus in Saka. She was only 22 then, slim, bright-eyed, wearing a yellow dress that fluttered in the wind. Beside her sat Tund, 28 at the time, medium build, dark skin, beard neatly trimmed, his bald head gleaming under the sun. They sat under a mango tree, his arm draped over her shoulder, laughter ringing through the air. He had promised her forever, but forever ended the day she discovered she was pregnant. And when she turned to him for comfort, he disappeared, leaving her with silence and shame. Back in the present, Adago looked at Chi-Chi across the table. Her daughter's laughter was like music, innocent and pure. Tears welled in Adago's eyes as her whispered thought cut her heart. If Ibuka ever finds out Chi-Chi is not his daughter. She wiped her cheek quickly, forcing a smile when Chi-Chi looked up. Later that day, Adago met Tund at a quiet cafe in Victoria Island. He looked older now, his beard flecked with gray, but his eyes still carried the same sharp arrogance. He leaned across the table, his voice a low hiss. "You thought you could erase me?" Adago gripped her bag tightly, her knuckles white. "That child is mine, and I want her to know the truth," Tund continued. Adora's chest tightened, the nightmare she feared was standing right in front of her. Adago's voice cracked as she leaned forward, her fingers trembling around the coffee cup. "Please, Tund," she begged, her eyes wet with desperation. "Don't ruin us. Ibuka gave me a life I never thought I'd have. Don't take this away." Tund leaned back in his chair, arms folded across his chest, his silence sharper than words. Adago's heart pounded so loudly she was sure people in the cafe could hear it. For a moment, she thought she saw pity in his eyes, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. That night at home, Ibuka noticed Adago's silence. She moved around the living room like a shadow, pouring his wine with shaky hands. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his deep voice cutting through the quiet. Adago forced a smile, nodding, but the glass nearly slipped from her trembling fingers. Ibuka narrowed his eyes, sensing something he couldn't yet name. The next morning, Adago found a folded piece of paper slipped under the front door. Her breath caught when she read the bold words, "Tell him, or I will." Her knees weakened, and she slumped against the wall, the letter shaking in her hands. The world around her blurred, and she pressed her palm to her chest to steady her racing heart. That evening, Adago met Tund again, this time at Bar Beach. The ocean roared angrily, waves slamming against the shore like a warning. Her voice rose above the crashing waves. "Why now? Why destroy me?" Tund stood still, his face calm, his tone chilling. "Because truth cannot stay buried forever." Adago wrapped her arms around herself, shivering, though the night was warm. That night, Ibuka opened Adago's purse, searching for her car keys. Instead, he pulled out the crumpled letter. His jaw tightened as his eyes scanned the words. Adago froze when she saw the letter in his hands. "What is this?" Ibuka's voice thundered. The silence in the room was deafening. Adago's lips parted, but no words came. The truth sat heavy on her chest like a stone she could no longer hold. Her hands trembled as she whispered, Ibuka. I never told you everything about my past. Ibuka's eyes flared, the veins in his temple throbbing. You lied to me, he growled, his voice low but laced with fury. Tears welled up, spilling freely as Adago sank to her knees. I had nothing, no one. Tund helped me survive once, but it was a mistake. A mistake that followed me here. Ibuka turned away, his fists clenched, his silence heavier than his rage. Ibuka stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Adago pressed her forehead to the floor, sobbing, her cries echoing through the empty house. Her daughter, Chi-Chi, peeked from the staircase, clutching her teddy bear. She was too young to understand, but the fear in his wide eyes mirrored the chaos around them. Adago quickly wiped her tears and forced a broken smile for her, though her heart shattered inside. Back in the present, Adago looked at Chi-Chi across the table. Her daughter's laughter was like music, innocent and pure. Tears welled in Adago's eyes as her whispered thought cut her heart. If Ibuka ever finds out Chi-Chi is not his daughter. She wiped her cheek quickly, forcing a smile when Chi-Chi looked up. Adago found Tund waiting for her at Freedom Park. The laughter of strangers and the music of street performers contrasted with the storm brewing between them. I won't let you destroy my family, Adago declared, her voice strong, though her hands trembled at her sides. Tund smirked, leaning against a bench, his confidence unshaken. You think you can control the truth, he said. Adago stepped closer, her voice rising. No, but I can control you. Adago pulled out her phone and hit record. You've been blackmailing me, Tund. Say it, she demanded. Tund chuckled, shaking his head. And what if I do? Then the whole world will know what you've done to me, Adago snapped, her voice trembling but firm. For the first time, Tund's smirk faltered. Adago uploaded the recording anonymously online. Within hours, the video went viral across Lagos. Headlines screamed of a businessman's betrayal, and Tund's name was dragged through the mud. Ibuka saw it all, his wife's secret, the betrayal, and the courage it took to fight back. For the first time in days, Adago breathed freely, though fear still lingered at the edges of her relief. Tund barged into Adago's house late at night, rage in his eyes. But this time, Ibuka was waiting. He stepped forward, his tall frame towering over Tund, his fists clenched. You brought shame into my home. Now you will leave it, Ibuka thundered. Tund hesitated, caught off guard by the raw fury in Ibuka's voice. For once, he backed away, retreating into the night. The morning sun spilled into the living room, bathing everything in gold. Ibuka sat on the sofa, Adago beside him, their daughter Chi-Chi curled between them. I should have trusted you sooner, Adago whispered, her voice raw but hopeful. Ibuka placed a strong hand over hers, his eyes softer now. What matters is that you fought for us, he said quietly. Chi-Chi stirred, her small voice breaking the silence. No more crying, Mama. Adago smiled, tears in her eyes, and pulled her closer. No more crying, she whispered. Only truth.